Tuesday, Mr. Shem, is a Shchodesh Nisan, and we know there's a Gemara. It's past in Shikhanorach. Rebbe brings it down. Rev'yi, it's a Gemara in Bruches, Daf Mem Gimel on Beis. Rev'yi, Haimad Nufel Biyomi Nisan. A person goes out Biyomi Nisan. The Chos the Ilna, and he sees by trees. The Kumalavlava. That there's a live love. That means there's coming out what? Buds.
Flowers, no?
Okay.
Buds before the flowers.
Before the flowers. It's lovely, yeah. Oimer burich shlachisere ba'lume klim. Ibure boy bris toivus velunis toivus lisnus be'emrayudam. So let me just give the reka what I'm going to talk. When it was COVID, nishmei gedacht 4 years ago. It wasn't 4 years, it was 3 years ago. That means almost the end of COVID, yeah? Makes sense? Or,
yeah.
I think it's 3 or 4 years ago. It was the end of Nisan, and it was still a lockdown. Still lockdown, you couldn't go out. So a few, Bala used my art, took their, the energy, and they rented a big back trailer, open trailer. They put on top of it, 2 or 3 trees in a plant. In a plant. In a ring of a barpark in Monsi, what's going next to also. All over it was this immer gemachte bruch because you couldn't do something. So Rav Osner's son, Rabbi Zion, a good miner, he said he gave her a shiva that everybody who made the bracha on the trees from the truck is bracha levatula, and you should make a bracha again once 2 weeks. In year, once you go out, you see trees, make noch mal a bracha b'shem malchus. That was his psak. So I wrote to him a bitter that Chaz v'shulam to say such a thing. You're playing around with brachas, and not only you're not playing around with brachas. There's no reason that you should make it. His nekida was, and that's why his nekida was 2 things. First of all, it says hayoytze b'may nisan. Hayoytze b'may nisan means you have to go out on the fields and b'may nisan. So you have to go out. In Medbal Zayn, it's my tak, you have to go out in the fields b'may nisan. That's number 1. Number 2, he wants to say that b'may nisan is lav dafka, and b'may ir also. So why making? There's an Indian to go out. And Yom Nisan is not lav dafka, it is ma'akav. So you can do it also here. So why go such a thing, do such a thing? Therefore, man shoyt sigverim is a machan achem labruch. So okay, this is exactly what we're going to do. This is the ganze Schmiss, was again there. In Mabal Zayn, it's nicht lav dafka. So that was his nikida. So I wrote him a lengthy bitter, which I'm still waiting for a response. But I upon him says okay. So what's based? His base is the Gemara says, as I mentioned before, hayoytze haimad nufel biyomi nisan v'chuze ilna, you make a bracha. And this gepasst in Shikhanorach is a simmer reish chavov. Hayoytze b'may nisan v'roye iluna shemetzim perach, flowers, perach, yeah, oimer buchat Hashem shachise belume klim, a bisschen anders dan ist wie sie steht, ja, wie in Zugma, so bepasst es in Mishnah, bepasst es in der Gemara, steht hayoytze b'may nisan. That means nisan and not ear and not other. Das ist bepasst es, man nennt passt die Gemara hayoytze b'may nisan means b'may nisan. How do I come to say a Yom Nisan means tak Yom Nisan? There's a Gemara in Bavakama, Kif Yigimon Amad Beis. You send as money to a person. You look of them the Gemara. Rev'yi lo yihivne zimne lo b'Yom Nisan lo b'Yom Tishra. You don't give as money not in Nisan and not in Tishra. Why? Because people are busy. People are busy with matzahs, cleaning for Pesach. Tisha, people are busy with the Dalamina, Chivatun, building a sikas, so you cannot sing Azmana and Nisan and Tishra. But you can send Azmana and Nisan that he should come here, and you can send Azmana Tishra, you could send, they should come right after Tishra. So over here, what?
Azmona means the best.
Azmona means the best. Yeah, Azmona the best. The best brings the best. Yeah. So that's for sure. The Gemara use the same language. Biomי. That's for sure. That Yomanis over there is ma'akif, is dafka Yomanis, not something else. Why? Because over there, the Gemara klur that you could send Yomanis that you should come right after Nisan. And you can send on Tisha, you could come right. So you see, when the Gemara says Yomanis, or the Yom Tisha, it means Chodesh Nisan, means Chodesh Tisha. So to say dafka is lav dafka, Pashas HaGemura is the Pshat is you make the Brucha only when there is Nisan. And that's how Ochot Tak bepasken Shechanorech legabe Bezden einkoven Zman ben Nisan betische. Das meint Dafken is in the Tisha, a day after Nisan, all of year kann man schon machen Azmor. Pshat is Yom Nisan. Meint das Yom Nisan. Noch mehr, if you look a little bit in the Rishonim, in the Achronim, the Poskim, Gdoli Poskim for free, we see Dafke Yom Nisan is a Dafke die gesagt. For instance, the Luchas Ketanas, Marie Chagis, a friedige Achron, a couple of 100 years ago, he's Medayik, and he writes, since the Gemara says how Yoitze B'Chodesh Nisan, so therefore, if you have nut trees, which nut trees is Mamar, we all know, from the Torah, in the Alter Rebbe's Mamar, and Pashas Koirech, the Torah, the nut trees is one of the first trees which give up Eiras. So if a Chodesh order, you have already trees which is giving out Prochim, so he was asked, may I make a bracha on it or not? So he answers, no. Since it says, Miyoim, Habiyoim Adanissen, that means Yoim Adanissen and not before. If it's Lav Dafka, why not before? It's Lav Dafka. It happens to be as his Damos. So I could put him with the Poskim am Ugelen that even the tree, even a tree which is Malavlav, gives out Prochim, and Chodesh Udan, that's his time when he has to be Malavlav. You cannot make a bracha because it says Miyoim Adiyir.
What's the story? Maybe the mother is talking about
Let's, if there's any questions, we can get it. Alles gaat weer naar hem gerecht. The Chadu in Birka Yosef, Reish Chabuv, the answer to the Sigi over there, and it says like this, Vani Shabbat, and that's the point. It's going to answer your question. Oh, so Mambal said, but don't come to the Allah Kiddush. Zug the Chidu was also a Kabbalist. So he writes, Vani Shabbat, the Brocha Zu, this Brocha which we make, Al Deruche Emas, that's a Pikabola. Shaykh is Dafkali Yom Nisan. When it comes to, if you, it's a din in Yom Nisan. Why? Look at the Lefize, Nereli, the Gamal Pirche Shekaidim, Yuchel Avurich B'Chodesh Nisan. The Haluchas Ketanas writes that you cannot make a bracha Chodesh or a Pirche Shekaidim, but you cannot make also a Nisan also, because you had it already before. It's either so, on Shekaidim you cannot make a bracha. So you're going to free, so don't you make a, Zuk to them, the Chidu, no. Wir bald the ganze Indien is Adin Dafke in Nisan. Ein a Pikabula, we get Mals Bezan a minute. A Pikabula is do in Nisan Nisan. But Maile Perichish Kaidem, you cannot make it on other. You make it Afkan and you make it Afka in Chodesh Nisan. V'hocha Chazina Rabun Kishishua. And I saw the old rabbis, Maserav. Berichem Avarcha a Perichish Kaidem, that they did make a bracha a Perichish Kaidem in Beyomi Nisan Dafka. V'chayin Iker, those the Iker. Then he writes also, he made a lot of Suram, you know, the Chidu made hundreds of Suram. So he writes also in his Sefer Boyne Be'etzba, he writes like this, Ishtadl levurech berches yelunas b'yomai nisan, v'amadagd kim makpidim shia b'yomai nisan dafke. We're going to see us, sie du gewisse Rishonim, was halten es, also wie, as in the Dafke, am bald sehen, Zukt why? Zukt bechral, mas hum größe kavunen for it. Why? Because the reason why we go out in Bein Nisan to have make the bracha in this time, because, you know, me and someone I know for that boim. Moidis atzam b'kavanusay, she letiken hanashumas. It's a tiken for the neshumas. The neshumas, when man shoins in a minute, was the makarofin. Shem megilgulim, which gets megilgul, ba'atzai, b'sumim, ba'asuvim, b'zman hazeh. B'mayli gait man masna brucha, and that's a tiken for the neshumas, yivak shalai rachna. He doesn't say, is it, Kabulim say like this? What is the makar? Lamasi in Pesach Hadvir, other Svadische Gudel, which is in his time, bringt a Zoyer, which the Zoyer writes like this. The Bluzer with Reb Shimon says like this. in the days of Nisan and Tishra, the Ruchois, das heißt Riches von den Neshumas, Meshoitetes, are traveling and looking. You park them, where are they? They're looking and they're resting. Betzaftzvin, and the kids of the Wurim, let me say just what the kids of the Wurim is the Zohar writes. The Neshumas go out the Nisan and Tishra, which needs a tikkun, and they lie on the leaves, on the grass, and they're waiting that someone should come out and do some kind of tikkun. In also steht der Bluse Reb Shimon, der Bluse bringt zu den Zohar. Normally, this is the kavuna, so the Pesach Tvir, when the Zohar says the Neshumas goes out, Yom Nisan, Yom Tishra, it is that's why we have to make the bracha of Berchzelus Dafka Yom Tishra, because then there are. The Zohar is a guy in the road, the Neshumas guy in the road, on Nisan. They're not going out on Uder, they're not going out on ear, so therefore has to be Dafka Nisan. In my living name, das is the Sibba. He brings also the Shach al-Torah. We know the Shach al-Torah because the Rebbe brings it a lot. It's not the Shach, our Shach Shechanurach. It's a Baal Makibel with a Megira Harizal. And he writes, Ibezeh ha-chodesh, chodesh Nisan, shoylet, the Hilunas Metzim Peiris, Lezeh Omri Torah, Shivas Yum Matzis Techayli. What does it touch? Shivas Yum Matzis Techayli, Matzis in Malushim Meriva. Fighting, Matzis in Meriva. Matzis Meriva. What does it mean? Shivas Yom Chodesh Nisan is a man that you have to fight with whom? With the clippers, which wants to have a Yanika. And he writes, and that's why we go out on the field. In Memachta Baruch in Chodesh Nisan, because Chodesh Nisan is man which is Matzah Mariva, which the Neshumas come and want to have a tikkun in the Tzad Shekeneged fights with him. And that's why we go out and make a bracha. And he says, that's why we say also Shir Hashirim. So what do we see? That the Indian apikabula to going out on Nisan, go and make a bracha is dafke Nisan. And we see the poiskem, the spätige poiskem, Lechai, writes clear. Weil der Chassad, Zurich bruche sie bei Nisan dafke. Has to be Nisan dafke. Lechai berg selin is Nisan dafke. And we see a lot of poiskem which like this. The Rebbe in Shulchan Menachem has also a letter regarding of this. And the Shulchan Menachem Rechaim Chaylik Aleph Siman Kif Lamed. And the Rebbe writes Medayt in the Alter Rebbe in Berg Sanhenem. Zoekt Azoi. The Alter Rebbe writes in Liich Berg Sanhenem. The Alter Rebbe wrote 3 times Berg Sanhenem. Liich Berg Sanhenem, the Shechanurach. The Shechanurach, and then he wrote the Side Berg Sanhenem, which basically zoekt the Alter Rebbe, zoekt the Rebbe Azoi. But Liich Berg Sanhenem shad the Alter Rebbe La'achar Lamed Yivurig B'loi Shem Malchus. After Lamed Nisan, you should make a bruch of Hashem Malchus. Mochach, then it's Lav Dafka. So Pashtus is Machach, it's Lav Dafka, because you can still make B'loi Hashem Malchus at least. So the Rebbe of beside the Berach Sanhene, which basically that's the last version, Hisht Mitzois. The Alter Rebbe took it out. Va'av di Yashloime Bedoiche, Mishim the Alter Rebbe wants to say that you can only make once, in Kilia will zugen after Lamed, if you made it already once, you should make Zug the Alter Rebbe. So the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe is mashpet gemein. That's Mishnah Achroina, and that's why the bracha is Dafke Nisan, and he cannot make the bracha of Nisan. Okay, so what we see here, Gdoli Achroina, Gdoli Aposkem, the Alter Rebbe, which is in the Poisek, and it's not nor the Alter Rebbe. Again, everybody has to do with Kabbalah, and even people, Poskem, which don't have Kabbalah, writes Yoytze Manisi is a din Dafke. Now I know the Ritva writes clearly. The Ritva in the Shishuna writes like this: "Vayoy manis lav dafke, el kol mukim lofi mashid lav lofi." Ye kol mukim mararon.
Iker is the livlov according to the Ritva.
Oh, Iker is livlov. So keep us if it's malav lof uder or if it's malav lof ear, you can make a bruch. Azoy kamen azoy pashis pshat. V'chay not what? Give me, we'll get to, I told you whatever stays open, we can answer afterwards. Let's get to that. And I'm sorry, Gedola Paskem wants to learn from this Ritva that basically, the Ritva wants to say, you can make it always, we study in Livlov. And I'm sorry, from the Levish, some things as this. The Maße aber is sehr a schwere Rai to bring from this Ritva. Ich bin Maskem, as I can say, he could use this Ritva for himself. Lanis that the Ritva does not mean this. The Ritva means that there are places which is not Malavlov and Nisan. Their winter starts at Nisan. the summer is in Australia, like you said, Australia, Argentina, Brazil, which the whole 6 months was the summer, and now starts the, Tisha B'Av is the shortest tainus, and the Surah B'Tayvus is the longest tainus. Yeah, so the ritual wants to say, don't think that when it's Melivlav in Nisan, in Tishra, or in Elul in Australia, you cannot make a bracha. You have to make only Nisan. In Nisan, there's no such thing as livlav over there. So look the Lushan. V'yoyim is lav dafke. Kol mukim mukim l'fima de lavlav. Kol mukim mukim l'fima de lavlav. Every place where is malavlav. Nish. Every place.
Every year?
Every year.
So it changes year to year too.
What do you mean? You mean it has to do with...
Okay. Everything's blooming earlier because.
Okay, but we are not going to make not going to make a bracha only in this. Exactly. So therefore, the ritva is a schwache raya to say that it has to after listen. But akapunam, if somebody wants to say the ritva means like this, I can hear. But akapunam, according to a bunch of poskim, is nissen dafka. According to makabulam is nissen dafka. So what? Yeah, means the neshumas. Yeah, for the places. Yeah. The places which the livlov is tishra, they can make tishra taka. And the chanama. I feel that Alter don't ask me for the sach. Yeah. But Bazayir nis, Zayir Elul tishra is nissen. The word nissen is what them is the zman for livlov. So, Maile can say as es the wel dingen Alter haben da mir dafke, aber since the whole Rikide is mit Zadna Neshumas in the Zohar tells the Osi Yom Nissen, Yom Tishra, so passt das mit der Alter haben, man können sie machen am Bruch. Wo Maile ist so, what? Tishra nicht Cheshm nicht Elul, in dafke Nissen und nicht Uder und nicht ihr. So a Koru haben eine gewaltige große Apostel is Nissen and not before not hand. So Maile when he says that you could make it ear, Zalbazach, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily Bechlal. Okay, now let's go to the second thing. He says, why wait of Elul? Why wait of ear? Because of Kesov has to be a yoitzai. A yoitzai b'chodesh Nissen. This is Medaik for the Lusha. A yoitzai b'chodesh Nissen, you have to go out, sitting at home and seeing a tree. So according to Rav Wosner, Rav Wosner's son, so according to him, if you have a tree in the city, or you have a tree in your backyard, you cannot make a bracha. You have to go out, besudas v'cherumah. Because hayoytza has to hayoytza chutz. Okay. So now let's go, what? Hayoytza chis le'ir. Choytza chis le'ir. In Sigvena zachem menugim is mizalogin chis le'ir. It's emes. But it was, Lani's that it was more a practical thing. Why was it more practical thing? Because the trees were outside. The trees, the sudas, the crew used to be outside of the. No, but let's see the delusion. The Gemara took Haiman the Nufel B'Yoyim Nissen. That's his diak. A person Nufel B'Yoyim Nissen has to be Yoytze Lasudas Echrumah. Yeah, Pashas Lafike if you are in your backyard. And this, Haroya. And this is what the Chivas left Chaim. Chaim Palazi is Ochmadai. You have to go out in order to make a bracha. But if you look in the Rishonim, which bring this, most of them doesn't say hayoytzi. It says haroye ilunas melavavram. This is the lotion. You kick machzavitli. Haroye ilunas shem melavavim. B'may nissen. Oimer. Dan zeg ik de broche. De rekayach. Haroye ilunas brengt der banyerichem. Avidraham. All the Rishonim says the Lushan Haroya doesn't say Hayoitza. The Rambam do bring Hayoitza. The Rosh Rambam is Hayoitza Lesudus Eleganas B'may Nissen V'roya Machtra Brucha. Is the Choyra is what Mashkin the Rambam alt yo shit the Rambam you have to go out. Zoekt dem the Master Kayach auf dem Platz that is Lav Davka. Zoekt was the Raya because Ganim the Rambam says Lesudus Eleganas. Ganas was basically in the ear. Sudas Mr. Gerecht. The Sudas used to be outdoors. Out of the Ganem was a given genam. So the Rambam clue. Zuk Takayoitza. This is Laganas. So Zuk the Rabas Erekaich, the parish of the Rambam. Zuk Klar Avad. It doesn't mean he has to go out of the city. But I like to see the Rambam with Einzim Zuk the Rup Hayoitza Ladrushna Gemura, and he likes see the Sudas Laganas. So Bamaila was Rasta Kop. Was that you know what?
Is there an idea that a tree has to be in the ground?
That is extra. I'm getting to this. The last piece. That's the last piece we're going to get to. That's the last piece we're going to get to this.
What's the last
Laat me kijken de Roshon Shechinurach.
No, I think Allah has been the ground.
Hayoytze b'yemainis. Steht Hayoytze. Ja.
Connection with the ground.
Ja. Is the roof in Shemesh in ja. Kan goed miflen. Kan goed miflen, ja. Now comes the Pesach Advir and it says Hayoytze. Zoek de kloor, laaf dafke. Die wordt behoeven. De lois schier geloenes dit is begefaires en begesleer. He says it clear. Yoitza? Did you see trees in the backyard? That's what you think. Is Anachanama, he writes, Anachanama, if you have trees which is in the backyard, and it says, that they make the brocha in the house and they looked out of their windows. Also look the bringt ich gesehen die Leute ist haben gekickt der Lukas so was kommt mit der Kind das da rausgehen wie es geht das am Sach sucht ja sie steht dort sucht das in eine von den Ziffern wenn man sieht der Lukas wenn man bringt darüber sucht der Gotchigas in afila derige Emmas sucht afila derige Emmas der Bruder sie mir alles artikeln an der Schummas as I mentioned das war sich in Schummas. And as we see, he was sitting and learning in the fields, and the Neshumas came to him. So that's not the Pshat is that the Neshumas go only on the Sudas. They wanted the Rizal should be Masakin, and the Rizal was sitting in the Sudas over there, he was still learning. So they went to the Sudas. Aber nicht Pshat, dass sie Kapai das machen, the Sudas. So therefore, the Sache is, the ganz Hayoytze is doesn't mean you could be in the city, you could be in your backyard, and you not only you could sit in your house, you don't have to go out of your house to the backyard, because this is what he sees. Ich kann sagen, also ich will ja machen, wenn er rausgeht gestieb, nicht von der Window. Wenn ihr heute dann der Hayoytze, go out at least from your house, auf so viel.
Show that you're excited to do this.
Ja. In Meile, in a viel begein Palace was efsche tracht ja efsche muss gaan Friedeman als he wants to say that maybe Hayoytze is medafke. Sucht aber avada old person or the person who is schwach could make it from the hose is lav dafke. Va ein doen in efsche bei de loy efsche. Also sucht if it's possible go out of time. Ein doen in efsche. So ich habe einmal nicht. Eigentlich bei loy efsche in Covid you cannot go out. So ich habe viele la shitu so if it's Zukter the Reb'chaim Palashi was the only person which goes that the Reb'chaim Palashi is the only who says Hayoytze has to be Yoytze, and he himself says that the old person of the Rachulash v'ayin dunen efshe v'dolei efshe. So therefore is b'mayla. As Shas Chag, so you do Shas Chag, you cannot go out with COVID, you know. So avada machst du beruchem auf die Yoytze gewein, say it's Nissen, and it's so waiting till ear because maybe ear they can let you out, but you lose all the poiskim and all the rishonim and all the malam kabbalah which says in this dafka. So therefore make it in through your house, through your window, on the truck, and machabruch. Now he didn't mention this whole thing of on the truck. He didn't go into it. But so that was the thing. You don't mention the whole thing that it was a utzis maybe. But amasse, you look in the Hilchas, and Hilchas fin Klein, andere Sachen, schreit klur, as if it is in a way that basically the utzis nukaf, it has holes, and but also the truck has holes. Then it heißt es live in Mechibel Karka, and it says what?
So it could go to the ground.
It could go, yeah. And not only that, if anybody knows how it works in Etzisruel, the Orla, nicht der Schmitte. Ich rede noch Orla. Ich gab Orla and Neuter Revai. Orla. It's true. You don't take a tree, you plant it. You have a nursery, which over there, the trees was, so that tree, when you take from the nursery, could be a couple of years old, or at least 2 years old. So now, if you take it from the nursery, and you plant it in the ground, you have to wait another 3 years. So, what do? You don't want to wait. We want that basically I should be able to use it right away. So that's why one of the things you need pikuach and ashkucha. So the way how to do it, and this is how the kasher organization do. They have a flatbread which has holes. They have the utzitz has holes. Benoisvi has the soil with alle Sachen. And once it has soil and has holes, is the utzitz nukav. In Mamayla is nachyonik ma'akarka. In Mamayla you don't have to wait all the things. Aber gesagt, du, haben sie gemacht, special given auf flatbread, they made holes in it, they brought Utzes Nukev, especially, they made ausgerechnet alle Sachen ein Hichels klein, so geschehen. So therefore, it's not a problem. So I always really calls that.
It's moving the car.
That's good. Not even that, even if it has blacktop. Even has blacktop. So the Ravos mit alle Apostel geschnuch gekid on Hichels klein, this is how it's in a guy for dort. So sie klar, as Ravos passen da so in as das jede Utzes, he says even more Ravos right, some house complexes have on the roof, they have a playground. No, over there they have trees. So there was Avada is alles beside. It's not in the ground. This is so there was mekemach of them abruch. I feel a door. But while there's no problem. So my is clear in such a case when Avada shum kimanochamol that if somebody has a kershmach kabrucha and has a truck which goes to the dorach, he doesn't have to go in Yoitze Lechitz, he can make a bracha. If a frat Tomer at verlieren the Nissen, so la machna bruch in the Chaz v'shrum, so machna bruch in Iyah.
What about those in Williamsburg who didn't hold by the lockdown?
Who didn't what?
They didn't hold by the lockdown. Did they have to go out?
Oh, this I get to Shalom. This Shalom I didn't address. I just want to, one more thing. Zansfuri is, as we about as a Yoitze, you have to go out, and you cannot go out. And it will come 3 weeks from now in Chodesh El, you will be able to go out. So therefore, go out, hast du nicht Yoitze. Ich will noch ein Stück Zielleigen, because that was a shal which I had this week from a guy, the Babsha guy, Welton, I don't know from where he is. No, Welton.
In Berkeley?
I have no idea where it is. He wrote me.
He's in the electronic world.
He sent me a WhatsApp with the shaila, and he wanted to know. I said, I have in my backyard, I have a tree, and there is Neiter Revai. That was his shaila. So I answered him, but I told him I'm going to write it. So it's still in the middle, just in the kiddos. But fragt mich also, it's now the 4th year. It's beginning now to be only in the 4th year. Make a bracha da nicht. He's a lost, gerecht, he doesn't know, so that was the question. So the answer, just to answer the question, is like this. What is a tree which is orla? The Kiva Eiger has a shala, often plus, Chumer Reish Chavuf. So the Kiva Eiger, I have a question, if you have a tree which is orla, I have a silfek, if you can make a bracha. Because what do we say about the bracha? So since over here you cannot have Hanus B'nai Udam, so therefore, of Allah. In Lamas and the Divra Makil, Paskas, you cannot make a bracha on a tree which is Allah. But Lamasa, I would say most of the Achroinim which deal with this, Allah is in a Michael, like it Chila, to machen a bracha of Allah. The Rav Peulim, the Ben Ishchai, in his Sefer, macht a brucha. He says 3 reasons. First of all, mitzvah lavel hennes nicht. A mitzvah is machen a brucha, such gescheichs mit Anoah. Sogt zweitens, bis ich henne me gif a peire. So what? You can have from the trees, you can have, you can have the brucha on the tree. In Adraba, we don't make a brucha when it's a peire. We make a brucha when it's lavlav, when it's flowers. So b'mayla, what's the big deal? Third, he wants to say, what's the third thing? That it's Allah. No problem. Ich mach a bruch of the tree, as wenn man megen es essen, that man es essen. Every tree you have to eat, but eventually is like trilla Allah, and then you can be able to eat. So zukter b'mayla klur, as tzirishkashim problem, you can make a bruch of Allah. And this is how a lot of other poskim pass like this. Yaskel Avdi, Navadia, Chibin Ruf, Gdoli Ador gewei, Chibin Ruf, and David Mashurim, he writes, for sure you can make a bruch, and I bring such a beautiful eye. That's why I'm so, if you know the Glitziana way of learning, Chibin Ruf Glitziana. Some got the Glitziana chap. So he brings a beautiful eye. He says, Yehuda will be able to help us out. Imasa Shiny, Peirig Hai, Mishnah Aleph, says like this. Kerem Revai, you have a Kerem Revai, you have to be Matzayan. The best had to be Matzayan. V'shel Allah, with red, a color of red. V'shel Allah, you have to be Matzayan B'charsis. Charsis, that means as we can go nishta. Reb Shimon Gamliel. V'bede wuna Miriam B'shvias. Schmidt, you have to be Matzayan. But not all over. All other years, Zukter, no, somebody wants to gamva, he should eat, it's his problem. Zukter should be in the roof, if he was going to say that of Eluna Allah, Kemen Shmach Kabrucha, that means all other years, not Shvi, is Dach Noch Matzayin Zah. You have to be Messiah Ochen. Why? Because Menschen sollen nicht schwer machen a Bruch auf Allah. Sollen not rausgehen on the tree. They'll see a tree is blooming, and they'll make a bracha. You cannot make a bracha on Allah. So you have to be Messiah Becharsis that you cannot have a no. So since the Gemara says only B'Shvias, not all of the years, so the klur, as ma avada make machen a bracha. So da ich besser nicht gedacht Messiah sein, because it's kein problem, macht a bracha. And also kommt der raus bei Moshe, mit der ganzen Allah saying, Allah, which we can't stand haben, you can make a bracha. And the ikene kids said what it means, because we can't know beside from the tree. Inside, ich kann know from the tree, weil es wird kommen, the Divra Makil wants to tell it with the Allah that you cannot make a bracha and climb. Aber climb, it has getin do a iser. As gemacht a boy climb, has getin a iser. Allah has getin a iser. The Torah asked us. The Torah is essen, but it's not a problem. It's not a iser. It's a fact. So therefore, even on Allah, you can make a bracha. So now, his question was Neter Revai. What's the Ruch Neter Revai? Omer is a groß machloikes, mechaber in the moon, groß machloikes in Shoinam, a poskem, if Neter Revai is chal bechisluritz. Chisluritz. Neter Revai chal bechisluritz. In the mechaber pasken, amaz a machaber zan, in the Remu pasken, in a zoi pasken, a großkeit, the groom, with a ganze bunch of other poskem saying, Neter Revai and chisluritz bechal nish negaya. Bechal nish negaya. Es ist mittelig, getrin, make it viel essen. Nach den Schoßleit. So in dem macht man das auszuleisen. But a kapunam der Mu mit der ganze bunch andere Poiskem, nehmen nun, ich meine der Moses. Der Grug gedenkt ich sicher ist gewesen also, aber a bunch Poiskem suchen als in so mechanisch kein Problem mit Neterwai, wir können das öffentlich getrillen. So maila ma, da gaf orleke mach na bruche kosch Neterwai. So mach a bruche, kannst mach a bruche in the backyard in with the scotch, is in the Chaim, in the Rebbe. Ich habe gesagt, noch eine Reihe, that doesn't have to be a Yoitze. Because you go in at Yisroel, or not Yisroel, even today's day, you look in the Koloilim Kiloi, there's some kind of a magazine which goes in, the whole magazine is pictures of the Rebbes. Yeah. So when it comes to Nissen, you have constantly pictures who, their Rebbes are rausgegangen mit the Chsidam, but none of them went out of town. No, nobody went. Ich kann nicht gehen, man geht out of town. Belz Rebbe geht in Telstone. Telstone is in mitten of Stutt. Ich meine, was,
How close do you have to be, though? Don't you have to see the flower?
You have to see, of course you have to see. Yeah, but you don't have to go out of town. Mamaila, der Boy ist da vergesst, ich zu machen a Bruche, es Artikel von den Schumas, wir sollen haben Kavuna, es steht in der Post, wir sollen haben Kavuna, wir machen die Bruche, in Mamaila, so ich gesagt, a lechte Kusher Peisach. Oh man.